like you have an ability to respond to international issues like the continued violence in Darfur and nuclear weapons, things like that?
Somewhat, but not a lot. I mean, like, I know about, like, Darfur and, like, what's going on, but I feel like, I mean, if I took more time to, like, look at it, maybe I could help.
Probably not actively, probably just learning about it, and then, you know, maybe when I make more money, I might be able to help out more.
But when it comes down to it, it's all about money, and I think the whole war revolves around money. That's my personal opinion on it, and I don't think we have much of. We can get our voices out there, but we don't have any say in what actually takes place.
And my family's from Eritrea, which was a country in Northeast Africa that was in a war for 30 years. So they were very active in terms of trying to do something when they were students. My sister volunteers at UNICEF, I volunteer at UNICEF. And we try to do things to help. So definitely, I do feel like I can make an impact.
We're all guys from small towns. We need to kind of group up with a whole bunch of people to make a big difference. At this point, we could probably collect money, you know, make people aware of the problems.
We are very worried about this problem, but we don't see any decisions how to solve this problem.
All we can do is to raise awareness, and that really doesn't do much besides what other people know about it. I don't think that the things I can do really make so much of an impact on big issues like that. It takes more than just me.
It's kind of difficult to make a difference, you know, as a small group of people, but if we came together on like a national scale, we could do something.
I really think they can if they get together in groups, because if they start something that they believe in and they just go with it, then it'll turn into something big.
Oh, I'm planning on becoming a teacher, so hopefully I'll be able to influence the next generation so stuff like this won't happen again.
It seems these days as if everyone has a dozen or so of those colorful bracelets alerting the world to their individual causes, like this one for autism.
Some are very recognizable, either because of celebrity support, such as Lance Armstrong's yellow, or because of dedicated campaigning, like breast cancer awareness pink.
It would be hard to find anyone over the age of 12 that didn't have at least a few.
And yet, sometimes we don't really understand why we support these causes, or what those concerning the larger world have to do with us.
With the popularity of secular campaigns, like GAP's Product Red to fight AIDS in Africa,
or the UN's Water for Life program to provide basic sanitation to the world's impoverished, we understand that there are global issues that we can help solve.
Many of our favorite celebrities use their media power to heighten awareness about global issues facing people today.
But it can be easy to just blow the campaign off as another marketing pitch or cry for attention, instead of stopping to think how we fit in the larger picture.
What is our responsibility? That's what we'll be talking about today. Hi everyone, I'm Jess.
And I'm Jack. And this is Realfaith TV. Our spotlight guest, Katie, has taken an active stance in responding to humanitarian crises occurring throughout the world.
We'll talk with her a little later in the show, as well as meet our studio guests.
But first, let's go back to the teens in the street and hear more about the steps they've taken to lend a helping hand.
Let's check it out.
Yes, I've donated money to help Darfur and several different organizations having to do with that.
In my youth group, we have signed petitions. Our school sponsored like the Save Darfur t-shirts, and I bought a couple of them, and like I try to tell my friends about it once in a while.
There was a fundraiser last year at our school, so we saw a presentation, everything about it.
We have gone. I went to a Darfur concert, and all the money that was raised is going to be sent to support the people who have been suffering.
We also had someone who escaped from Darfur come to our school and speak to us about it.
And my friend has a Green Hand organization. It's like an urban community cleanup. We do that, and I don't know, music sends a powerful message, and I try and do that with my music.
I help like volunteer, and I do like community service and things. But like besides like my own community, like I haven't like done like more like worldly things.
Do you feel responsible to do something about it?
Yes, kind of. Because, you know, I'm part of the strongest country in the world, and I feel that maybe, you know, if the government is not doing what I feel is right, then maybe I should start to do something about it.
Whatever you say and do, whether you protest, you set up a website, make phone calls, whatever it is, you're not gonna matter when it comes down to it. It's all government run.
Little old me can't do anything about it. I mean, if I ever had a chance to give the president a piece of my mind, I probably would do that.
Like I would try to do something if I knew what to do for them.
If we have some chance to help these people, we'll do our best to do that.
I'm in a position to help people, so if I can make that change, I should be obliged to do that.
Yeah, because it's like part of our families and we should all care about that.
The more information you have about the issues, the more you'll want to do. Realize all the injustices going on.
I think something has to be done, and we need to focus on the issues, not just on ourselves as the people making money. We need to be aware of what problems are going on elsewhere.
You know, it makes me sad when people are like, I don't think we can make a difference. You know, that seemed a couple of teens in the street kind of said that they didn't think one person could make a difference. A difference happens because a bunch of little people get together and try and make a difference, you know?
I kind of agree with what one of the girls said. She said, you know, the more you know about it, the more you're going to want to do. And I don't think, you know, the media is doing enough to promote, you know, helping others and things like that. Let's meet our studio guests and see how they respond to international issues.
They are Kristen, Ijama, Kim, Elias, Kenny, and Shannon.
In what ways have you guys reached out or helped raise awareness?
I know when I was student council president at my school, instead of doing the usual Secret Santa thing that we usually do, we collected stuff for babies and stuff for moms for Homefront in Trenton. So we really took the emphasis off of giving gifts to each other and helping out in our world instead.
For Hurricane Katrina, my school did a car wash, and this year I think it went to an AIDS or autism foundation. So I mean, just little pieces every now and again will always help.
I know my old school, we used to have, like, every Friday would be a dress down day, and you'd bring in $1 for you dressed down, and it would just go to a worthy organization, like for AIDS or autism. So.
Yeah, we did the same thing, but our principal, she works, she goes down to Ecuador once a year, and we gave the money that we raised for dress down days to the village that she works with.
My youth group's been selling these bracelets, and we make them. They're really easy to make, and they're only $1 to buy, so it raised a lot of money for Uganda.
And I actually have the Product Red iPod, which they make phones, they have t-shirts. So whatever you can do just really helps. Just even buying an iPod, some of the profits will help.
Next, let's meet our spotlight guest, Katie, who will talk about our God-given responsibility to care for each other.
And how she initiated a campaign at her school to raise money for several different humanitarian efforts.
As members of the human family, just as a human being in general, we have such a great responsibility to watch out for fellow human beings, to watch out for our peers, to make sure that everyone is given a chance and to ensure that no one feels invisible or left behind. I know that personally it's really hard to think that I have the capability of impacting so many people. There's so many people that need help, there's so many problems, there's so many issues, and like me is just one person like, trying to take on all that. It's really intimidating and it's hard to be like where to begin even. But I know that even like the little things I do like have a great impact. Even if it's just on one person, then I know I'm like changing them for the better. If I don't, who else will? You know, if I'm like, no, I need to back away from that. That's too touchy of an issue. That's too much for me to take. Then who else is going to step up to the plate, you know? That's what happens if that's what everyone else is saying. Then what about the people that need help? What about the people that do need me? Right now, at my school, I like brought this idea to the table, and it's called Change for Change. The basic idea is leaving containers out by the lunchroom, having kids drop off their spare change. Everyone always has spare change, and no one likes it. Like, what are you gonna do with like your penny or your random quarter that you get from buying a sandwich or something? And take everyone's quarters and pennies and nickels and dimes and put them together, and you can make a lot of money that way. And every month sort of have a different place to donate the money, like Camden, the Romero Center, donate money there. Donate money to, you know, efforts in Uganda, Darfur, places like that. That's one idea, the whole Change for Change idea. And then just like in my future, I really want to like become a journalist and like travel and sort of, I think the first step in making change and making, you know, things better is accepting and acknowledging the problems, like trying not to deny them, like to be upfront about it, be like, this is what's going on and this is what we need to do to help it, to fix it.
I'd definitely be the type of person to give to Change for Change because like I always hate carrying around change and I hate spending it because I feel awkward giving someone like $2 worth of change like when I'm paying for something. So I think if I could just like put like as soon as I get my meal or whatever I'm buying and put it like in this can that would actually help people, I would actually like not have change, you know, I'd benefit and so would like other people. Sometimes we just feel overwhelmed by all the need out there.
Watching the news can make us feel like our efforts are too small and that the need is too great.
The truth is that there will always be need and suffering and people who deny others their human rights.
But especially as teenagers, we hold a great asset in our hands, and that's our hope.
As our Spotlight guest Katie shared with us, hope can lead us to make a positive difference, even if we find ourselves alone in our efforts.
Let's go back to her now and hear how, through small efforts, she was able to make a large impact on those she was serving.
Individually, I try and do what I can. Like, I give my money, I try and like save money and like put it aside for a good cause. Not even just money, like I offer my prayers. It's definitely easier to get stuff done like when you're in a group. Then you get more accomplished and you just feel more empowered like when you're all brought together. When I went to Camden, to the Romero Center over spring break, and then you like go out throughout Camden and help food shelters, if you go visit different places and work sites. And I remember I went to this thrift shop and I helped out there organizing clothes for, you know, the people who couldn't afford the finer things. Just seeing like the happiness and like the people that maybe don't have as much, and seeing that like me being there and me showing that I care, it was such a feeling of satisfaction. My small efforts helping out with like putting clothes away made people happy. Going to Camden, it's such a like bad place, really taught me that, you know, things aren't always as they seem. I went into Camden thinking I'm gonna get shot up on the block or something, but really that did not happen at all. Once I got there, I realized that people are people. Who cares where you come from? Who cares if you're not maybe the richest person? But they really have a really strong community down in Camden. I admire that, and I think that you have to like see people for who they really are and realize that where they live or maybe their social or an economic standing like doesn't make them like who they are as a person.
I know I went to Camden with Katie on that retreat, and I went to a place called New Visions, and it was a great experience. And I actually was like talking to people there, and I was talking to this one guy, and he like changed my outlook so much. And I know that like just by talking to him that I changed him too, and we both walked away better people. So, do you think one person can make a difference in regard to poverty and illness?
Everything has to start somewhere. You can't have an entire nation just get up one day and start moving to help someone in Darfur. What happens is it starts with a little group of people, possibly with one person, and then it just grows out and gets to such a large scale.
I remember a quote by Mother Teresa. It was something along the lines of, "Do small things with great love." I think that means that we can do small things and eventually they all add up. But as long as we do them with great love, it makes all the difference.
I agree. I think one person needs to initiate a movement and a cause, and then lots of people will follow.
I think any contribution is a good contribution. Whether you donate your time or your money, whatever you do, it's going to help.
The same thing with voting. You know, we have such a low voting rate now because everyone's kind of like, well, my vote doesn't count. But that's where they're wrong, because every little vote counts, and every little person who tries to make a difference counts towards that movement for change. And that's why it's important that all the people of our generation get together and try and make a difference, that our generation as a whole can make that change for a better world. So, do you think our generation as a whole can make a difference in tackling these issues?
That's what we asked the teens on the street.
Let's check it out.
So do you think our generation can make a difference in issues like this? Do you think we can bring out a change for the better?
Yeah, I think if we're like more educated.
Definitely, I do believe that wholeheartedly.
Yeah, if we try hard enough.
When you get older, get, you know, the people who are interested in it, get jobs in politics and make everything the right way, the way it's supposed to be, the way you feel is right.
Don't act like you're insignificant. Act like you are about to grow up and be people who are going to be running the world. You know, who knows, your best friend could be tomorrow's politician. Start caring now, because people don't realize how bad it is.
I personally have a huge hope that our generation will step up and do something that's
really productive about the genocide in Darfur.
Speaking out more, voting.
I mean, just knowing and voicing your opinion is good.
You know about everything, but you don't really do anything. And I think people need to do less talking and more action.
Because I feel like our generation use MTV as more of a news resource than a newspaper. So before we can go out and vote and do all that protesting, we should just be more informed about the issue.
Being active in our communities by contributing our effort and our time to things that are important to us and just trying to be living, breathing human beings who care about one another.
Pope John the 23rd helped define the rights of the human person for us as Christians.
He wrote that everyone has the right to life, to bodily integrity, and to the means which are suitable for the proper development of life.
These are primarily food, clothing, shelter, rest, medical care, and finally, the necessary social services.
If this is true, then what's our responsibility for those being denied basic rights?
It can be hard to find resources to make policy changes in foreign governments or to send substantial aid.
But we can raise awareness by stressing the importance of these issues.
Next, Katie talks to us about her interest in taking part of humanitarian efforts.
And how media resources have helped in the fight for social justice.
I've always been really sensitive about how other people live and how other people feel and the struggles of others. And Camden was a big turning point for me, helping out and seeing poverty and people struggle on a personal level. But just internationally and here in the United States in general, when Katrina hit, I remember watching the news and crying to my mom about it, seeing all these families displaced, not getting the help they needed, being so frustrated, why can't people help? Why can't this problem be fixed? I feel in a way enlightened. A lot of people today, they don't really see that side of the world. They try and ignore it. They look at their own problems rather than the plights of others. My small community, that isn't it. There's so much more out there. We had watched a video called Invisible Children, and we were really impacted from it because it was about kids in Uganda. They take these little boys and they train them to be these killers, these murderers. It's just in that movie, Blood Diamond. And the movie is basically talking about how the kids flee from town to town trying to escape and resist being captured by these armies. And it was so shocking to see how hard it is for these kids to just get by day to day. They're just trying to survive, just trying to avoid being captured and taken away from their family and friends. And so right now, a group of people are planning a big event to show the movie, raise money, raise awareness.
I definitely think that movies and documentaries can have a big effect on, pushing for change. Because one of the more recent movies was An Inconvenient Truth with Al Gore, which, that movie was huge. It won an Oscar. It was a big deal, and I think it raised a lot of awareness for environmental issues and everything. And I think that a documentary about humanitarian issues, humanitarian crises, could raise a lot of awareness for those issues and provide a lot of aid, like An Inconvenient Truth did for the environmental crises. So how about you guys? What are some of the outlets that you think we can use to shed light on the issues that are important to us?
Well, on a local level, someone in my parish actually used our bulletin and had an advertisement in there for raising funds to go to a special need, and they actually ended up raising a lot of money. I think it was about $1,000 that they all raised, and that's a lot of money to send to a cause.
Yeah. The internet is a big thing nowadays. It's so easy to make your own website. You can always post something that you're passionate about and get the word out through that.
You could even write to your congressman or your state representatives or the governor or something, because there's people who actually read all those emails and document it.
And the other thing is, you got to keep being persistent about it, though. If you write one to a congressman, chances are nothing's going to happen at first. So at that point, you can't just give up. You need to keep going and because I hate to say it, but the more you pester someone, the more likely they're going to, condone to a course of action.
Social justice was present in the early church.
In John's first letter, he raised his social awareness of the community, asking,
"If someone who has the riches of this world sees his brother in need and closes his heart to him, how does the love of God abide in him?"
It makes sense to most people that if you have wealth, you can afford to give back to those in need.
Yet, in our society, it seems that many people do this simply as a tax write-off or to make a fashion statement.
John tells us that this is a matter of the heart, and that as Christians who believe God is in our hearts, we should be reaching out in love to our brothers and sisters in need.
Do you think your faith encourages you to get involved in these issues?
That's what we asked the teens in the street.
Let's check it out.
I think believing in God and what He can do gives you the strength to believe what you can do.
If you help somebody else, somewhere else will just help you.
My youth group is we're a Jewish organization, and there's so many people, and it's so great to be around the people who have the same faith as you that it's inspiring to help people.
I'm kind of isolated in my church from people I know, so really it's my friends who keep me engaged socially.
The people in my youth ministry encourage me, but it's not something that the faith itself does.
I'm in youth group. I take a big part in that. I do community service through that.
If someone needs help, you should help them. You shouldn't just let things slide.
It teaches me to help people, you need to help people around the world, because then if nobody would help each other, you won't get to nowhere, You
should always help them because
one day you might need help too.
You just have to help everyone no matter who they are.
That it's important to help everyone no matter what their race and religion is, because you should treat people how you want to be treated.
I would just think of how I was in that position and I want to help them, because I know they might wanted to help me.
If you have the means and the heart to do something and people don't, then you should definitely act on that and help them out.
How have you worked through your faith to help others in need?
I know my mom's going to Africa, so she needs to have a lot of courage to go there. So I know she's praying a lot for courage, and I know I'm praying a lot for courage for her. And I'd put all my faith in God that He's going to keep her safe.
We have a Haiti committee at my church, and they actually came to one of our youth group meetings, and we made t-shirts for all the kids that were graduating from one of the schools they made up in Haiti. So it was just really nice to know that they're going to get something out of our help.
Finally, let's go back to our spotlight guest, Katie, and find out how her faith encourages her not to be afraid to lend a hand.
And gives advice on how one can make a big difference through small, everyday actions.
Even small things like choosing to buy the $100 Coach purse over maybe donating $50 of it to a charity and buying a cheaper purse, little things like that. Giving of your time, your money, your efforts, it just makes you feel good inside. I know it sounds corny or whatever, but it's so true. It's really rewarding when you step back and put yourself not first. Our generation has the potential to solve a lot of the problems. We need the desire to fix these problems. God definitely calls on us to help our brothers and sisters. We're a huge family. It's really our responsibility to get out there and to help the poor, the oppressed, to try and solve conflicts between countries and even fellow human beings. And as Christians, as members of the human race, we're obligated to care about each other. My faith definitely makes me proud to say I'm going to help someone else. I'm going to maybe not do the cool spring break thing, but go to Camden. Faith definitely encourages me to not be afraid to lend a hand, to maybe accept or talk to people that are looked down upon or scorned, just like Jesus and the lepers, and He's going in there to where people don't want to be. I say start small, even if it's just setting aside a little bit of your lunch money every day, offering up a prayer, little things like that to just get the ball rolling, and then think big eventually. You have to think big to get big things accomplished. It's really frustrating knowing that you can't help everyone, but just remembering that the one person you do help, the one person that you do touch, that's a human being. That's someone that you've made better, that you've helped, that you've comforted. That one person makes it all worth it, even though it's not a multitude of people that you're helping, knowing that day by day and person by person you're changing.
One of the easiest ways to help with a humanitarian cause is to join a group that's set up on a national or international level.
Catholic Relief Services is one organization that helps the countries around the world.
Youth are often a large part of this movement and travel to places like war-torn areas of Lebanon, where they provide food for the elderly and affected families.
For many of us, though, traveling to aid with floods in Afghanistan or the homeless in Solomon Islands just isn't possible.
That doesn't mean we can't help by raising funds and awareness. we're responsible to use our time and talents, as well as our money, to help others.
Just like the Christopher's motto, it is better to light one candle than to curse the darkness.
Each one of us has the ability to light a path for our brothers and sisters, even when the darkness seems overwhelming.
How has your faith inspired you to be more response-able? We'd like to hear from you.
Email us through our website.
The address is www.realfaithtv.com.
Or, if you'd like to learn about ways to get involved, call Catholic Relief Services at 1-866-608-5978.
And we'll leave you today with a quote from U2 lead singer and AIDS activist Bono from his speech at the 2006 National Prayer Breakfast.
A number of years ago, I met a wise man who changed my life. He said, stop asking God to bless what you're doing. Get involved in what God is doing, because it's already blessed.
God is always with the poor. That's what God is doing. That's what He's calling us to do.
Thanks for watching.
We'll see you next time on
Realfaith TV. God bless.